After writing Losing My Religion, I wanted to basically write about something where I'm really proud of and I wanted to challenge myself. And in 2010, I get upon this idea that I wanted to write about an Indian superhero because I was sick and tired of Hollywood superheroes. There's just too much of it. And don't get me wrong, I really love superheroes. I love the superhero stories, all of that. But the problem with them is just it's just too much, and they're too global, and we are not able to kind of relate with them, especially Indians. But still, we watch it. And then I thought that we have the kind of richness in our own Indian mythology. We have ethos, the values that we have. But the problem was that we don't have the quality of Hollywood. That's the problem. That's what I thought. I thought that I should fix. And then I started writing about Kalki Avatar. I chose Kalki because it's always fascinated me. Later we can look at one of the videos we have shot on why I have done it. And so this idea hit me and just kept me awake for like a few nights. And then every time that I'm awake for a few nights, I know that I want to do something about it. I have to do something about it. You know how entrepreneurs are, right? So we got to do that. So and I started writing about it, and the whole my whole aim was to create a universe. I just didn't want to just start one character. I just wanted it to be like a multi-pronged approach. I wanted to make it like Marvel or DC. I wanted, but for Indian stuff. And in between, while writing this, Bahubali released. And when Bahubali released and it was a huge success, I realized that Indians also have an appetite for Indian superheroes, which is really high budget and high and kind of expectation is there. There's a market there, so that fueled my whole attempt at it, and I wanted to create Kalki in a fashion that people can recognize him, because everybody else had done mythology in the past. Like people write it as a religious thing, and they write it from the past perspective. But I wanted to make it contemporary. Like I wanted to bring Kalki in the future, near future. So how does it, really translate it to that? So that was a challenge, and that's why I took like 8 years to write the book. And you can imagine 8 years is like almost like an era, to be honest. So it took me so long, but it kept me going because I love the concept.
Wow. One for all of us, or for everyone, is when a concept comes in mind, right? Like you thought about it, and then the journey of 8 years, and then finally producing it. What goes into it? Because all of us want to write a book, and all of us want to write maybe a superhero, superheroine, super character, but you made it happen. And today there is this evidence that it's right there. How is the journey? How was the journey for you? How do you keep at it and deliver?
Yeah. So for me, there is one rule that I always have, and I always tell it to everybody who wants to write a book, that the first draft, you should not be thinking. You should not think for the first draft. You just put it out there, and then the second draft is for thinking and just laying out the characters and making it, adding the color and adding characterization and all of this stuff. Like that's always the second draft. So that's how I usually approach it, and especially when it came to Kalki, the problem with the challenge with Kalki is that it has to be authentic, because people are crazy about this character, right? Just because of the word Kalki, the book is selling right now, because people are like they have a lot of expectations on Kalki, and they know that this character is going to come in the future, how it is. So when I looked at the universe, my challenge was to narrow down the characters. How do I take that whole scope and I bring it down to this character who is as mortal as any one of us, and plus he has to be this avatar by the end of it. So, but I think at this point in time we'll watch that video. It will give us like a much more clear picture of how the journey itself.
Yeah.
So, you see that video?
I was most fascinated
with the prophecy of Kalki. Puranas describe Kalki as an avatar who appears at the end of Kalyug. He is said to end the darkest, most chaotic times of Kalyug and restart a new cycle of time. In the Hindu mythology, the Trinity is all powerful. Brahma is the creator, Vishnu the preserver, and Shiva is the destroyer. The 9 avatars of Vishnu have been the most fascinating, deeply influencing the culture of India for thousands of years. Vishnu has been the preserver, but there are times when he manifests himself as the destroyer. Especially in the 10th avatar, Lord Kalki, he is bound to come to end the age of darkness or the Kalyug. What fascinated me the most about Kalki was that he is this merciless and all-powerful leader who has to come on earth to destroy the evil forces. That's what fascinated me. And I decided to take on this challenge to bring out Kalki in an avatar that nobody had ever thought about before. It is believed that the Kalki Purana was written as a response to the barbaric invasions by the foreign invaders from Central Asia. These invaders were the Huns and the Mongols. To end this brutal era, Vishnu had to appear on earth to destroy the enemy and restore a pure way of life. This formed the basis of my story. I had to work backwards. The first thing I had to do was create a Kalyug in my book that was practically the dark ages. I had to create an enemy that was undefeatable. For this, I visualized a character called General Jian, who is this merciless and bloodthirsty general who takes over the Chinese defense forces through a coup and then begins his onslaught on the world. In my story, I have also introduced an ancient mercenary cult called the Invisible Hand that is believed to have been created in the 12th century by none other than Genghis Khan, the brutal and ruthless conqueror. This cult has only one mission. They want to topple democracies and instate dictators, and they won't stop until they rule every single nation on the planet. But there has to be one man who rises above everything else to stop this reign of destruction. And that hero is Kalki. He has to destroy everything before he has to rebuild it. In my book, the story is set in the near future and not in the past, like most of the other mythological books. Kalki is born as a mortal as any one of us, but his origins are very painful, and he has to walk this path of self-discovery, unlocking godly powers, and ultimately he has to become the last avatar. To defeat the powerful enemies, Kalki has to bring back the Vanar Sena. Yes, the Vanar Sena. But in this era of science and technology, how would he do that? He creates machines in the form of gods. I call these machines the Vanaroids. With the Vanar Sena by his side, Kalki becomes the Masiha the world looks up to as a savior. So the last avatar is all about the choices Kalki makes in his life. Why does he decide to become a vigilante? And how does he plan to stop the evil forces by doing the impossible? He has to destroy those people and those terrorist organizations who wiped out the democracy, who killed the Union Cabinet and the Indian Prime Minister. How does he do it? So that is what the Age of Kalki Trilogy is all about. On one side, you have this powerful villains and this ancient clan called the Invisible Hand, which is hell-bent on destroying the world. On the other hand, you have the powerful superhumans that China has created. And back home here in India, you have an ancient secret society called the Rudras, who are protecting the ancient Indian knowledge. Ultimately, it's a battle of good versus the evil. It's the ultimate battle. And Kalki has to rise above everything else to end it all. The question is, how is he going to do it? That's how the journey begins in the first book of the trilogy, The Last Avatar. That gave a picture.
Yeah, wow, this is very, very impressive. I can, when this was playing, I could imagine a movie coming on this and so many things happening. And so this is the first.
Yes.
But you finished the 3?
I finished the second one, half of it, but still I want to get the response from the audience and readers and see how it goes from there.
Yeah. So I have one question, Vishwas, is when you look at an Indian superhero vis-a-vis, we have a certain expectation of a superhero. So what do you think when you evolve the character of an Indian superhero? How is it different than heroes outside?
The problem I feel that Indians have, because they consume a lot of Hollywood superheroes. If you look at everybody, we're all crazy about Superman or Iron Man or whatever. So I think they just need coolness factor to it. They need basically something that is larger than life, but yet it's believable.
Yeah.
So if you look at the culture that we have in India, we've always been reading superhero books. For example, Mahabharata, and then we have Ramayana. Everything is nothing but a superhero kind of a book. And we are glued over it. It's like our history itself, right? So what I felt when I started writing it is that I need to take elements from it, and that's when I created this ancient Indian secret society called the Rudras. That's what I created. The Rudras are kind of protecting Indians' ancient knowledge, and this set of 9 books that they are protecting. It's called the Scripture of the Gods. And after a lot of study, when I researched, there were a lot of secret societies in India. So there is one theory called 9 Men, where these people are like protecting this. They have done a lot. Like 10,000 years back, they have had so much of knowledge. They know how to go to space. They know how to really look at the solar energy, how to harness the wind energy, how to become immortal, all the kind of stuff, right? So and then they have this has been basically lost because of the invasions that India has gone through so many years. Few centuries and stuff. But my premise is that it's not lost, but it's been hidden because it's so powerful that if it gets into the wrong hands, it can be very, very dangerous. So Kalki is being trained by these people. So that's the whole premise.
Yeah. So you have a very creative mind, right? Like thinking so many things, how do you get your ideas?
It's bizarre. I'll tell you if you can see this, the poster here. So this is called a Vanaroid. Vanar plus Android. Basically, it's a machine in the form of Lord Hanuman. And so one day I was thinking, and I was trying to check myself on if Kalki has to defeat an army or an enemy which is practically undefeatable. What he would do. And then it's I felt that he will create some kind of a technology or some kind of a machines and stuff. And then one day I went to, there is this temple in Whitefield. I had gone there with Sonia, and I went there, and it's a Hanuman temple, and there is this Hanuman statue in the back. It's a red statue in the back, and it's quite big. If you look at it, you feel something when you look at it. So when I was there, we took prasad and all that stuff, and I was just sitting there, and I was thinking that what would Kalki do? And then when I looked at Lord Hanuman's face, it actually gave me chills in my body when I look at it. If you look at Hanuman's face, look at it, it's no fear, and at the same time it's a lot of fear for the enemies, and it protects any beating heart. It's got some fear. We always think about Lord Hanuman. So suddenly this idea struck me that why can't Kalki create machines in the form of Hanuman? And then I connected it back, and then I felt that Lord Ram, who is also an avatar of Vishnu, is practically a Kalki also is avatar of Vishnu. So Lord Ram had Vanasena. So Kalki also has to have his Vanasena, but Kalki has to create it. In this era, he has to create his own Vanasena. So that's how the idea was born, and then I had like this hair-raising experience. I had like, the kind of chill in the body for a couple of days. Then I was so afraid, I was even afraid to even attempt it because it's a big idea. It's an idea that can, I know people are reading it right now for the last couple of days, people are like reading it overnight, people are reading it in one stretch. And they're saying that we are not able to think how you did that because they're so inspired by that character.
Yeah.
So that's how I created it basically.
Wow, amazing. I'm now going to ask you a very populist or maybe a dumb question. Which actor do you think is your actor for Kalki? Do you have to think of a Bollywood or Hollywood actor?
Who?
Ranveer Singh.
Oh my God! Everyone thinks Ranveer Singh. Anyone thinks anything. What do you think?
I don't know. Actually, I was talking to my movie agent. So I have a movie agent. His name is Siddharth Jain. He's one of the top guys right now. So he's already talking to a lot of producers and stuff. So he also asked me, "Who do you think?" I said, "I don't know still because it could be Hrithik Roshan or somebody like who is, but he's already has Krish, but
No, Hrithik Roshan.
Could be somebody else, somebody young.
Yeah.
But
Huh?
Yes.
Who?
Yash.
Yes.
Okay. Yash Kannada, I think. Steve. Ranveer Singh.
Yeah. So, no, but again, tell us to write this book, to live this vision. Who all have supported you, and if you would like to talk about people, it's because it is a very individual journey, but it is also not an individual journey, right?
Yeah.
So,
There are a lot of people who have really stood by me because 8 years is not a small amount of time. But one person who beat all of them is the biggest critic, my biggest critic and my biggest supporter, who is Sonia Sharma, my partner in everything I do in my life. She's a co-founder of both the companies that we are running right now.
but she doesn't have any option, no? She's your wife.
Why don't you ask her, why don't we get her on the stage and
Sonia, why don't you join here?
big hand of applause for Sonia Sharma. Please have a seat.
Thank you.
So how has it been partnering with him on this endeavor?
So it's been a roller coaster ride.
Initially, it used to take a long time because I was nobody taught me how to write a book, so I had to basically teach myself. When you teach yourself, then you go through trial and error and all that. So, but now I'm fairly fast. But the problem is that the kind of subjects I choose, they're not easy. Like I sometimes wish that I can write like Chetan Bhagat. Like it's just easy stuff to write. Like because they're like he takes very simple stories and he writes, which is okay, which is great as well. So, but my subjects itself are so heavy, and I have to like even for losing my religion, I had to do so much research because there's so many things in that, right? So the same in this one as well. This time it was dangerous even, right? I have to tell things in a very exactly in the right fashion, right? So that's why it just takes me a little bit time, but people are telling me that they cannot wait another 4 years for the second book. I promise that the next one will come out in like maximum like 14 months. So I'm going to work on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, how many of you here have read Losing My Religion? So the rest of us had to. So how do we do that? We go to Amazon and buy.
Yeah.
You have a Kindle version of it?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm feeling very inept because I haven't read it, so but we'll promise to do it.
Please
Yeah.
read this one first, maybe.
Yeah. We'll start with this one.
Yeah.
And anything else that you would like to share, Vishwas, with all of us?
Maybe I'll ask a few things about you. Maybe I think we spoke a lot. What I would like to know from you basically is you're also a storyteller because you have a company called YourStory, and then I think practically every month you publish like thousands of stories. So what made you come up with YourStory first of all? Because storytelling is a huge part of it, right? So what is your take on storytelling and how you present it? Because you gave a new spin to the whole thing altogether, right? So how did you go about it?
You know, first, I won't say much because today it's your night. And Sonia's night, it's your night, it's your book, and it's a great effort. I'll share a joke which I always share. It stayed with me that when I moved to Bengaluru in 2010, I went to this very fancy party in Oberoi Hotel. And one very famous investor had hosted this party. I don't want to name the investor, otherwise they think मजाक उड़ा रही है. But बहुत बड़े लोग थे, and it was by invite only. So outside I said, get me inside, to the girls who were getting, वो जो वहाँ पे बैठे रहते हैं कि get me inside. Then she said, oh, do you have an invite? I said, no, I don't have an invite. Then she says, oh, but this is by invite only. I said, please. Can you get me inside? She said, no. Then I said, okay, I promise you one thing, I'll only go for 10 minutes and I won't eat the food. Because in 5-star hotels, food है ना 1000 रुपए का plate, 1500 का plate, पता नहीं कितना. So I said, I won't do that. Just get me 10 minutes. I just want to say hi, hello, because you want to network, you want to know people. I didn't know anyone in Bangalore. Then she also laughed and she found it very funny. She said, okay, go, but 15 minutes because I can't do this, because if I make an exception, I will do more. So I go inside. And I meet, for me it was a very new thing, all the ecosystem people of Bangalore, investors, mentors, so-called all, big people. And I was slightly intimidated. So one investor comes, someone comes, 3 people actually, they come to me and they ask me, so Shradha, what is your name? So I said, Shradha, ye wo to. What do you do? So I said, and when you are an entrepreneur, चाहे आपका छोटा भी हो, आपको बहुत pride होता है ना, how it is, this is the best book on the planet, and I hope this becomes the best book on the planet. And then मैं तो पूछा, oh, what do you do? And I say with great pride, I say, your story. Then all 3 of them look at me. Then they say, oh, what do you do during daytime? ये मैं दिन में करती हूँ, like because your story, they said story करना, story कहना, वो तो रात में सुनाते हैं ना story. And that was my initiation into Bangalore, into this ecosystem. And that's also, it's in a way sad and in a way very amazing also, because India has been a land of stories, and we have, so you are bringing those stories back. And I had gone to Stanford in 2011 or 12, and there in their MBA program, storytelling is a huge core part of what they do. So somewhere I just think that as a country, in our chase for economic survival, roti, kapda, makan, we forgot that the biggest anchoring that comes to us is also because of the stories, because they give us dream, hope, madness, craziness, everything. And yeah, so that's my journey with your story. Like from there, I hope today few people know. Do some of you know here about YourStory.com? So no, to me that's a great thing, right? From a journey की रात में करती हो या दिन में, to people knowing about it. So ये लगे हुए हैं. So that's the journey.
I'm sure you're an inspiration to a lot of them. I'm pretty sure. So now, if you have to write your own book, is your book coming out? Are you writing a book? Will you ever write a book?
So I did co-author a book on certain things about the startup ecosystem, but I will, but not right now.
What would it be in case you write?
Lots. I have lots. I have humor, lots of humor, like lots of inside story, lots of Me Too's. Lots of, but I always have a problem with people who are too rich, too arrogant, too assholes, too much bullshit. I don't like fake people, and I think I hate it. And but अगर वो कहूँगी तो कहूँगी दिल जला है ना. अगर मैं कहूँगी अरे देखो वो 1 बिलियन कैसे कमा लिया, तो कहूँगी अच्छा नहीं खुद बनाई तो बोल रही हो. But I want to bring a story which is, I really want that, like what you are saying, we need to appreciate our own selves and somewhere our own heroes, our own people. And I just feel that we are creating false benchmarks for all of us, and we don't have real heroes which we can relate to. So maybe on those lines. Yeah, let's see.
Very interesting. Awesome.
No, but today it's about you, so
Yeah.
let's come back to you. Vishwas, hats off to you for creating this.
Thank you.
I knew this one, Amish Tripathi. I was in Times of India when he treated a friend of mine, was his PR publicist and all, very early in how he started and what he's built. And I recently met him. And the quest remains.
Yeah.
I hope this goes on to become bigger than that.
Thank you so much.
And all the best. The question I wanted to ask also is, how are you planning to promote the book?
So if you can promote it for me, it will be great.
No, definitely I will. Definitely I will. We'll buy also. I'm going on record to say, Ali, we'll buy also some books but then, do you have any plan just to, because see, this is very contextual to India also,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
How to get it at a national level.
Yeah, I'm planning a few things. We are trying a few offbeat things as well. I'm trying to come up with the comic series, comic books, and graphic novel as well. So there are people talking to me for that. There is a different kind of thing going on in online as well. We have created like ageofkalki.com. If you guys can see that, it's a new universe altogether. And I believe that the audiovisual is very powerful, right? It's more than words, more than things, right? So that's what I want to focus on. If we can bring the amazing visual appeal to it. If you look at even the Indian characters, like even Indian cartoons and all, people are like, they're not matching up to what's going on in Hollywood. So that's why, for example, this character, we did that in GoodWorkLabs, and we have a team of designers and artists. We took about 6 months to get it right, and we worked so much on this character.
Amazing. Right? This is no less than anyone. Yeah, across the world. Yeah.
So that's what I want to do right now. We want to create this very powerful audiovisual stuff and maybe everything else. And apart from that, we're trying to do a lot of the PR and other normal things that any book guys would do.
Are you going to launch it in local languages, Hindi and other languages?
Yeah. So my previous book was in Hindi and Kannada. So I'm hoping that this will get there. And initial sales have been pretty good for this. The pre-launched, it's been the number one for HarperCollins at least for the last month.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and things are going good. I'm hoping that it will pick up.
What's your wish number? How many copies are you looking at selling?
If you look at, if you want to make, in India, if you sell like 10,000 books, it's a bestseller. If you sell like say 25,000 books, it's already in like usually the top in many history books records. But I think if you sell like 100,000 books, 1 lakh, that's when it will totally become like one of the best forever. So I want to get at least to 1 lakh books. That's what the aim is. I think we'll get there.
Yeah, all the best. We all know that you get that.
Thank you Shradha, thank you Vishwas, thank you Sonia. It was a really interesting take on the book, and it was nice to know the story each one of you all went. And now is the moment of the day, the unveiling of the last avatar. So Sonia, Vishwas, Shradha, if you all could do us the honors, please.
But you promised to buy it too.
Whenever there is decay of righteousness and there is rise of unrighteousness, then I manifest myself. For the protection of the good, for the destruction of evil, and for the sake of firmly establishing righteousness, I am born from age to age. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verse 7 and 8. In the near future. I'm going to read the prologue and see how much I can do. It's try. Professor Haridas and his associate ran for their lives. We don't have time. The package cannot fall into the wicked hands, shouted Haridas, gasping for breath as it treaded a treacherous terrain in the dead of the night. The fact that it was a moonless night didn't help. Deep inside the excavation site at Mohenjo-daro, in the Sindh province of Pakistan, Haridas was part of an elite team of scholars and archaeologists gathered by the dreaded terrorist group Invisible Hand to unearth the treasures of the ancient Indus Valley civilization. The package he held in his hand was the prize of their 2 years of struggle. He had managed to steal it and escape as instructed by the Rudras, to whom he owed his allegiance as an undercover operative, and under no circumstances was he supposed to let it fall into the wrong hands. What have you found? What does the package contain? Asked Haridas's associate, a trained agent sent to extract the professor from the excavation site. They heard dogs barking and a chopper thundering to life at a distance. This can't be good. They know we are on the run. We have to hurry, Haridas said, struggling to see through the darkness. Listen to me carefully, he continued. It is in fact what we were hoping to find. It is one of the original scripts of the scripture of gods. In the wrong hands, the scripture possesses enough knowledge to destroy our planet. Since 316 BC, when Emperor Chandragupta Maurya and his chief advisor Chanakya first regrouped the ancient secret society called the Rudras, different people in power have tried to get access to the 9 sets of scriptures that were believed to hold absolute knowledge. They were collectively called the scripture gods and had been protected by Rudras since ancient times. But a few centuries ago, the Rudras had lost some of the scripts, and now that they had finally reclaimed at least one of them, they had to take it to safety, even if it meant giving up their lives in the process. Haridas and his associate reached a steep slope that led to the river. It looked like a death trap. The current was too powerful, and with the dogs chasing and the vehicles approaching with searchlights, they had no time to think. The choppers were still relentlessly trying to locate them. We have to jump, the associate said, and held the professor tightly as they slid down the slope. By the time they reached the riverside, they were bruised and bleeding. To their horror, the chopper caught them in the spotlight and they were soon surrounded by mercenary trucks. Professor Haridas, you turned out to be a clever little mouse, spoke a cold voice on the loudspeaker. He was the commander of the mercenaries and in charge of the expedition to unearth the scriptures. He stood at the edge of the slope with a gun in his hand and cut a terrifying figure. But if you thought I didn't have my eyes on you, you were mistaken. Haridas and his associate tried to run but were outnumbered and surrounded. Give me the scripture and I will consider sparing your life. Never. Not even if I have to die today, Haridas yelled. I will not ask again, the commander said, and as he fired a bullet between Haridas's associate's eyes, his skull burst open and Haridas watched in horror as he collapsed to the ground. You monster! This is exactly why you are not worthy of the knowledge the scripture possesses, Haridas roared. Losing his patience, the commander fired another shot. It hit Haridas's right knee. He screamed in pain as he fell to the ground but held the scripture close to his chest. You and your secret society, the so-called Rudras, he laughed. You are nothing but a bunch of idiots. You don't know how to wield power. The destruction of India is inevitable, but with the help of this scripture, we will ensure that an age of slavery is cast upon you from which you will never rise again. Dear God, Haridas prayed as he raised his arm to throw the scripture into the river. Protect this scripture. Protect it for the sake of human race. But before he could move forward, 2 quick bullets hit his hands and the scripture fell to the ground. He shrieked in pain. Pray as much as you want, but your gods cannot protect you or your country. This is the beginning of India's end. The commanders started to move towards Haridas. His men closed in from every direction. But suddenly, a distant sound rang through the skies and began to grow steadily. Everyone looked around. It sounded as if a supersonic jet was approaching with breathtaking speed. Lightning lit up the sky, accompanied by thunder that shook the ground. Something's coming, one of the men said. They checked the radar, but there was nothing on the screen. That's impossible, the commander yelled. By then, the sound had become a deafening thunderclap. They clutched their ears in pain just as a lightning bolt struck the earth, sending ripples through the ground and throwing everyone and everything up in the air. The trucks turned upside down, the machines stopped working, and the choppers fell to the ground, exploding on impact. Everybody take cover, the commander said loudly. Most of his men were dead, or too wounded to move, but the remaining ones did as ordered and held their guns ready to fire. The stench of their fear spread through the air. Commander, what is happening? Asked one of the men. I have no freaking clue. But that was one hell of an entry. Hit the spotlights, he ordered, when he saw that the lights were still focused on where Haridas was lying motionless, holding the scripture close to his heart. There was too much dust in the air, making it impossible to get clear visuals. There was a hush on the ground when the dust settled. I can see its eyes, said a fearful soldier. Eyes of a giant, the commander gaped, then yelled, Fire! The men immediately started firing bullets, missiles, and rockets. A huge plume of dust, fire, and smoke rose through the air. They stopped after a while to see if they had succeeded in destroying whatever the hell had landed amidst them. Is that all you got? Asked a powerful voice. Startled, the mercenaries involuntarily flung back a few steps. The voice was so potent that it sounded like God himself. His laser eyes became bigger as he walked forward through the fire, and as he became visible, they saw something they had never in their wildest dreams. That's not possible, said the commander again in disbelief. Am I hallucinating? Asked the soldier, rubbing his eyes. Several of the men ran for their lives. Through the fire, they could see a giant walking closer to them. His tail moved slowly, like a snake with its hood up. His towering structure and the mace in his hand sent shivers down the spine of the men who surrounded him. A variety of guns and swords hung all over his body, and the lightning sword in his hand gleamed in the darkness. But it was his face that was the most terrifying of all. What is that? Hanuman, Lord Hanuman, the commander stammered, horrified beyond his wits. He tried to report his headquarters, but all communications were jammed. The soldier then saw the face of the giant, powerful, fearless, and awe-inspiring. The face of Lord Hanuman had a grandeur that was otherworldly. How is this even possible? I have no clue, the commander whispered. The massive figure moved towards Professor Haridas and turned him around. The old man had bled profusely. There was no way he was going to make it. He looked up at Lord Hanuman with prayers in his mind and smiled. Jai Bajrangbali, he breathed his last and closed his eyes. The giant took the scripture from him. A compartment opened in his chest and he placed in it. He then turned towards the rest of the men. He's a machine, a cyborg. We can take him down, screamed the commander. Attack him. Thousands of miles away in India, in a secret facility called the Garuda, a deep voice spoke on the transmitter to the Wanneroid, a next-generation combat machine built in the shape of Lord Hanuman. Give them hell, he said in a measured tone. Affirmative, responded the Wanneroid at Mohenjo-daro, swinging his lightning sword in one hand and mace the gada in the other. He pounced on his enemies. that was the prologue. Please read the book. And as you know, that it's just the beginning. Kalki brings back Lord Hanuman in flesh and blood. He's created him, and but he's got one hell of an enemy that he has to defeat. An enemy that is hell-bound to make the entire world into the slaves. They want to destroy the world, and it all comes back to Kalki and his group to save it. And how he does it, that is the story. And I think you all guys are definitely going to like it. The way I've written it, it's very relatable, but at the same time, it is larger than life at the same time. So thank you so much for coming here today, and I hope you really had some good time. Did you guys have good time? Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. Thanks.